4 years, 2 months in prison.
Wow.
He served a year. He gets some time. He gets 15% credit, so he'd be at 14-ish.
2.5 years.
So, and then he gets another 15% of the remaining.
Yeah.
He's out in 2 years.
Yeah. Should have stuck with the original guess.
I know.
Yeah. Why
I
didn't
know.
It begins with an image that feels unreal. Sean Diddy Combs, once photographed in silk robes under glittering lights, now standing beneath harsh fluorescence at Fort Dix, New Jersey. Gray streaks cut through his hair as he clutches a stack of folded laundry that isn't his. The same hands that signed million-dollar contracts now scrub uniforms for 23 cents an hour. Footage leaked in late October shows him doing exactly that. Expression unreadable. A man whose collapse is happening in plain sight. This isn't rumor or tabloid fiction. This is surveillance-level reality. The fall of an empire captured frame by frame.
And I think Sam Bankman-Fried were in the unit that was one floor above mine. So in terms of like the setting, it's a fairly decent chance that the room I'm describing is similar to where Diddy is.
We've watched him walk red carpets, but never imagined we'd see him clock in. October 30th, 2025. His transfer to Fort Dix after 13 months inside Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, a place former inmates describe as hell on earth. His lawyers pushed for Fort Dix, calling it safer, closer to family, more rehabilitative. The Bureau of Prisons eventually agreed. By November, CBS News published his intake photo. Dull eyes, graying hair, the uniform unmistakable. That image became the symbol of a slow-motion downfall. America's first hip-hop billionaire reduced to inmate number 80,713,054. A long fall from the days when his name meant power. Once honored as a global icon at the MTV Awards, he now starts his mornings at 5 a.m. sharp. No luxury sheets. Just converted military barracks holding up to 100 men. No locked doors. No privacy. No pause button. He lines up for breakfast like everyone else. Powdered eggs. Thin toast. Weak coffee. The celebrity who once dictated culture now waits for permission to sit.
P. Diddy was taken to a Brooklyn hospital from MDC. MDC is the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. It's where Diddy's been held since his arrest back in September. His team has tried multiple times for bail, but it's always been denied. So that's where Diddy has been for months now, but last week he was taken to the hospital.
When the first clip surfaced, it showed Diddy inside the chapel library handing out DVDs to inmates. Commentators called it humbling. Insiders told CBS something different. That isn't humility, one said. That's survival. Fort Dix may be low security, but it's still a pressure cooker. Former inmates call it a zoo, a place where the wrong look at the wrong moment can spark fights over onions. In those dorms, fame isn't protection, it's provocation. His longtime lawyer, Mark Geragos, warned early that Combs would be a target. Within weeks of arrival, reports emerged of confrontations and a three-way phone call that violated Bureau of Prisons rules. The call allegedly involved his legal team and a discussion about sending a statement to the New York Times. The mistake cost him 90 days of phone and commissary privileges, cutting off money and communication. Officially, the infraction was minor. Symbolically, it was massive. Less than a month inside, the same pattern reappeared. Control slipping, even as he tried to manage the narrative. The story traces back to September 2024, when federal agents indicted him on racketeering charges. The indictment described an alleged network of freak-off events involving controlled substances, intimidation, and filmed encounters. This wasn't a scandal that fades. Cassie Ventura, his former partner, testified that what looked like private excess was, in her words, coercion disguised as luxury. Over 29 days, 34 witnesses testified. In February 2025, the verdict arrived. Not guilty on racketeering and trafficking. Guilty on 2 counts of transporting women for unlawful activity. A partial win that still ended in a 50-month sentence.
A judge says here the data shows a wide variety of sentences. Weighing all the relevant factors, the court determines that the sentence is 50 months of incarceration.
50.
4 years.
4 years.
5-0.
4 years, 2 months.
2 months.
Yep. Wow.
His letter to the judge before sentencing read like a confession. I lost my way. My downfall was rooted in my selfishness. Prosecutors pushed back, reminding the court what witnesses had described instead. Control, violence, fear. U.S. District Judge Arun Subramanian denied bail and said a significant sentence was necessary as a deterrent. The result landed between mercy and message. 42 months in prison, plus time served. Then came the appeal, filed October 20th by attorney Alexander Shapiro. The argument was familiar. The Mon Act, a century-old law used in the conviction, was outdated, unfairly applied, and racially coded. Legal analysts were blunt. The evidence was overwhelming. The verdict solid. Still, the defense pressed forward. requesting a transfer to Fort Dix specifically for access to its residential drug abuse program, RDAP, a program that can reduce a federal sentence by up to 12 months. That's where punishment and strategy begin to blur. Documents obtained by CBS show his legal team argued he qualified based on documented substance issues in the year before his arrest, a detail quietly introduced months earlier. That admission opened the door. Without it, no RDAP, no early release. The waiting list at Fort Dix reportedly stretches more than a year. Somehow, his application moved quickly.
Well, I'm happy to go. So we think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict. I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no sex trafficking. There was no racketeering. Everything was consensual. Everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the prostitution offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's verdict.
By late November, he was officially enrolled. His publicist released a brief statement describing a man committed to sobriety and focused on healing. On paper, it sounded like transformation. Off paper, insiders described choreography, violation reports, contraband rumors, constant image control, all pointing to a man still playing the same game. Control the story, even from a dorm full of strangers. Fort Dix's RDAP is no publicity tour. It requires daily therapy circles, written self-exam, and accountability sessions designed to dismantle ego and denial. Participants who resist or break even minor rules are expelled and lose all sentence reduction benefits. Sources who confirmed his enrollment also warned his disciplinary record could put everything at risk. If the Bureau decides he's manipulating the process, he could lose privileges and any chance at early release. That tension, rehabilitation versus rebranding, hangs over everything. Former inmate Sebastian Tallari, who shared the facility until his December release, told TMZ that Combs was holding it down and staying positive. But optimism doesn't erase scrutiny. His appeal is still pending. His sentence remains intact. His projected release date quietly shifted from May 8, 2028 to June 4th. No explanation given. What we're watching now is a paradox. A man claiming humility while allegedly bending every rule available. Once untouchable, now living in a system where power means nothing unless it's earned minute by minute. Whether this is punishment or strategy remains unclear, but history suggests every move he makes carries intent, and that's why what happens next inside Fort Dix may not be redemption, but calculation.
Yeah, this is a real issue. And I think Diddy's lawyers are right when you're talking about somebody who's not, supposed to not be able to be accessed in this way.
And that's super scary. If he in fact woke up with a knife to his throat, I mean, that's freaking terrifying.
It's the placement that raises the most questions. Out of every federal prison in the country, how does Sean Combs land in the exact facility his team requested? Fort Dix wasn't random. It was strategic. Minimum security, open dorms, a program capable of shaving a full year off a sentence. Many inmates wait months or years for RDAP access. Somehow, he didn't. Paperwork moved fast. Faster than longtime Bureau staff could recall. Former officials quietly say the same thing. Influence doesn't disappear at the gate. It adapts. Still, calling this rehabilitation feels generous. The timing, the optics, the precision. 1 week after his transfer, his publicist's statement dropped. Committed to sobriety. Focused on healing. Setting an example. It read like a press release, not reflection. Then came whispers of contraband and minor violations. Nothing severe enough for segregation, but enough to flag him as a risk. That early three-way phone call, dismissed by his team as a misunderstanding, left a permanent mark. It wasn't just about broken rules. It showed that even inside, he was still trying to shape the narrative.
So apparently Diddy's knee has been bothering him recently, so he reported it. At some point, it was decided that he needed medical care outside of the jail, so he was taken to a Brooklyn hospital.
By mid-December, another rumor spread through inmate networks. Someone claimed to have seen him celebrating in the dorm. Nothing extreme. Laughter. Music from a smuggled speaker. Maybe something fermented from fruit and sugar. Nothing confirmed. His lawyers denied it immediately. But the damage lingered. RDAP demands flawless behavior. Any hint of misconduct can mean expulsion. The irony wasn't lost. The man preaching self-control may have endangered the very program meant to buy him a year of freedom. Inside Fort Dix, fame operates differently. Some inmates treat it as currency. Others see it as a threat. Athletes, politicians, and financiers have passed through those dorms before, but few arrived carrying this level of attention. One former correctional officer described the atmosphere as unstable. Whenever Combs walks the yard, eyes follow. Some see fallen wealth. Others want proximity. That constant tension between admiration and resentment creates volatility. In a place like Fort Dix, one wrong look, one wrong word, can turn everything sideways.
To appeal. The strongest basis is that the jury reached a verdict on coercion. It found there was not coercion, and I think the judge said coercion today as a basis for a sentence at least a dozen times. We think that is unconstitutional.
Even our DAP staff are wary of celebrity participants. One longtime counselor put it bluntly. They all say they want help, but most just want the time off. Inmates in our DAP live in a separate unit where therapy circles replace fights and every word is examined for honesty. If Diddy is in those circles, he's expected to speak like everyone else, to admit fault out loud. That's something he's never done publicly. Judge Arun Subramanian made that clear at sentencing. The core issue wasn't the verdict. It was the absence of remorse. Outside prison walls, the legal maneuvering continues. In January 2026, his appeal team filed new motions challenging both the conviction and sentence length, arguing the Mann Act was misapplied and never intended for private adult relationships. Legal experts remain unconvinced. One called it the final breath of a PR campaign disguised as legal theory. The pattern supports that view. Every court filing arrives alongside a media push, statements, strategic leaks, even motivational posts from verified accounts. It's as if the appeal is being fought in court and online at the same time. Then the pattern grows stranger. The same week his RDAP enrollment was announced, stories about spiritual renewal began appearing with nearly identical language. A lifestyle feature followed, written by a journalist who had previously attended events hosted by his foundation. The piece framed him as humbled and reflective. It omitted the disciplinary issues, the shifted release date, and the rumors that therapy was being leveraged as a pathway to early release. Even inside, the performance continues. One inmate who completed RDAP said Diddy carries a notebook everywhere, always writing. Some think it's treatment homework, others think it's lyrics. That same inmate claims Diddy has talked about a comeback. Not life after prison, but a documentary allegedly discussed before sentencing. Nothing confirmed, but a producer close to his circle acknowledged conversations about a post-prison project long before the verdict. Which raises the question, is this therapy or production planning disguised as therapy?
Like they once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially when Diddy has been down.
The cracks are starting to show. His appeal filings reference psychological distress and trauma-driven behavior, reframing actions as symptoms instead of choices. That language mirrors his recent handwritten letters to supporters, notes that somehow find their way onto social media. His publicist calls them reflections. Critics call them manipulation. Either way, they work. The narrative shifts each time. 1 week contrition, the next misunderstanding, then spiritual rebirth. The constant is control. The irony is unavoidable. His empire was built on dominance. Bad boy, the mogul image, luxury as power. Now, his entire identity is shaped by confinement. And yet, he still manages to influence coverage from a dormitory shared with 8 other men. When reports surface about lost privileges, new images appear showing calm smiles. When court filings hint at misconduct, statements about faith follow. The timing feels rehearsed. Legal analysts say the Bureau of Prisons is growing impatient with the attention. Every tabloid story drags them into unwanted focus. Former federal wardens say high-profile inmates are often moved when publicity becomes disruptive. But in this case, no transfer is happening. The reason may be RDAP. Enrollment ties him to Fort Dix for at least 9 months. Any serious violation would end the program and erase the possibility of a reduced sentence. For Diddy, that's the last advantage worth protecting. By February, voices from his former inner circle began speaking up. Publicists, assistants, even a former security staffer, all said the same thing. The control never stopped. One put it plainly, even in prison, he's managing perception. They point to the letters from his children, the precisely timed posts, the quiet leaks about charitable donations from company accounts. None of it feels accidental. It feels orchestrated. A reminder that Sean Diddy Combs is still being presented, not as an inmate, but as a brand.
Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
Still, something about the transformation narrative feels hollow. We've seen this arc before. Fallen stars recasting themselves as redemption stories. Here, the cracks appear too early, the spin too visible. Leaked reports of minor rule violations, the three-way call incident, whispers of unauthorized visitors. Each one chips away at the image of genuine reform. One correctional officer, speaking anonymously. Put it simply, he's not the worst inmate we've had, but he's definitely the most complicated. That complexity, the officer said, comes from trying to balance two identities, a prison inmate and a global icon. The appeal could take another year to resolve, maybe longer. Legal insiders expect it to fail, but that may not matter. Every filing keeps his name in headlines, and every headline keeps the brand from fully fading. Some call it strategic brilliance, others call it denial. Either way, the playbook is familiar. Turn consequence into content. Turn suffering into marketing. Modern fame has taught that lesson well. The question now is whether the Bureau of Prisons will accept it. RDAP requires full participation, no excuses, no staged apologies. Inmates must publicly confront their behavior patterns within the group. That means Diddy will eventually have to sit in a circle, face other participants, and say the words he's avoided since the trial. I was wrong. If he refuses, he's expelled from the program and the early release clock stops instantly. Officials won't bend rules for celebrity. As one former counselor said, fame doesn't survive group therapy, but if he completes the program, passes every evaluation, and maintains perfect discipline, the reward is significant. Up to a year off his sentence, another 6 months in a halfway house, possibly supervised release by early 2027. His lawyers know it. His PR team knows it too. That's why every public statement now echoes the same themes: healing, self-awareness, faith. It's groundwork for the moment the Bureau announces successful completion. Whether this reflects genuine growth or calculated branding remains the central mystery. Outside prison, the lawsuits continue to mount. More than 100 plaintiffs have filed civil cases, many citing behavior from decades ago. None have been dismissed. Even an early release wouldn't end the scrutiny. Civil depositions, renewed media attention, and fresh headlines would reset public opinion again. If the appeal fails, those lawsuits become the next battlefield, and the cycle repeats. Denial, spin, distraction, rebranding. What's clear is that the empire no longer exists as music or business. It exists as narrative. Every article, every post, every leaked photo adds another layer to the mythology of a fallen mogul chasing redemption. Fort Dix isn't just a prison, it's a stage. Every rule violation becomes a headline. Every apology, another act. The irony is hard to miss. A man who once mastered spectacle now depends on it to remain relevant. The story refuses to end. The next appeal hearing is months away. RDAP evaluations are coming. The clock toward early release keeps ticking. Whether he's rewriting his legacy or rehearsing another comeback, one thing is certain: Diddy has never stopped directing his own story, even from behind bars. When the cameras finally fade, will anyone still be listening? Redemption or reinvention? Genuine change or one final performance? Let us know what you think. Until then, stay curious, stay watching, and remember, every empire falls, but some find a way to film it on the way down.